Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Lifestyle. I'm your host, Liam, aka Hambar, and today I have a new episode of Liam's Leapings, number 58. This is my weekly update. This is for the 7th of October, 2023. We're already a week into October. Here I am, broke still. Anyways, but actually, I don't really want to bum you out with that. As bumming as it is. But I wanted to say thank you because I got 1,000 subscribers. I mentioned that in a video and in just a little community tab post earlier this week. I'll be doing a live stream today when this comes out at 2 o'clock my time. Just you can go look in my live section and it'll tell you what time that is for you. And yeah, I should be doing a Q&A. It should be fun. Thanks again for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. We'll see if that means anything. This is I don't actually have enough watch hours, I don't think, actually, to be monetized by YouTube. Of course, there's ads on some of my more popular videos, but I don't put those there. YouTube does. So, anyways, I'm just going to tell you about what I'm thinking this week, what I've read. So, the first novel I finished was World Binder by David Farland. This is book number 6 in the Rune Lords. I was almost done with this one last week. In fact, I stopped reading it so I would finish it for this week, so I'd have at least 4 books read for this week because I like to show 4 books on my thumbnail, and I don't like not, because some weeks I'll only read like 3 things, so then I'm just like, oh darn, I got to reuse something. So Worldbinder, very wild, very, very wild. This is a huge change of pace for the series. It does some very wild, epic things, and in a very small package. It's only like 300 pages or so. So I enjoyed it. I look forward to reading the last 2 Lord books, hopefully soon. I also, actually, the next 3 are ones I don't have physically. So I read Stoner. I don't even remember who wrote that. Williams. Let me look. Williams is his last name. John Williams. Okay, which is just such a basic name. I thought that was wrong. This is, I actually covered one of everything, essentially. I got a fantasy novel in World Binder. I got this realistic novel almost in Stoner. I have a sci-fi novel and a horror novel I'll talk about next. But Stoner was pretty entertaining. It was pretty good. I didn't love it. I didn't like redefine my character or anything. Sure, there's a lot there. You could probably get a lot with most novels. I read a lot. And Well, interesting, it definitely seems an interesting tale, so to speak. There's some things that aren't said. We have a very passive character in Stoner. At the same time, I found myself relating to Stoner in somewhat, mostly just in the academic stuff. But at the same time, he's not really a hero. He's more of an everyday person. So whether you describe that as a hero, you should probably define which definition of hero you're using, I guess. But Define the definition. Anyways, yeah, Stoner. I did enjoy it though. I did enjoy it. I did have a good time with it. It's rather short, so it's pretty good at times. Actually, there's some pithy truisms, I guess you could say, but I didn't find it mind blowing by any means, or a favorite. But I did enjoy it. So, and then I read The Dregs of Empire by Christopher Rocchio. That is a novel. It's one of his novellas, so it's like 81,000 words, so that's pretty long. I was proofreading this actually, so I read all the short stories as well. So I technically read The Dregs of Empire and other stories, but this doesn't come out until November. So, but I did really enjoy it, and I think any Sun Eater fans will enjoy this one. I shouldn't say much because it's something you should read after reading Ashes of Man, so I won't really tell you anything besides it. That I enjoyed it. It was really good. Not my favorite, for sure. But Christopher Rocchio is one of my favorite writers. I do know him personally, and so I feel like I'm more critical of his writing than a lot of his fans are. I know a lot of his fans will just eat it up. Well, I'll say something like it could be a little shorter, Christopher. But no, it is really good. It was very enjoyable. My favorite quote was from like the before last page, but it's very good. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm looking forward to more, and hopefully, I guess I'll probably get to read Disquiet Gods here in a few months, a couple months. So yeah, should be good. And then the 4th book I finished. This is a very short novel. It's like 50,000 words, I think, is The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. This is horror. This is by Lovecraft. This is from my Lovecraft class. It might be the only novel I read in that class. I'm not really sure how many novels or how many of Lovecraft's works count as novels technically. So uh, this might have been my least favorite of the four things I finished this week. I just don't find so far Lovecraft just like all that entertaining. Now it's interesting. Um, the cultist stuff and the spoopy stuff is entertaining, but and maybe the reason I don't find it so awesome, I guess, enthralling is because I've seen it before, and that's because Lovecraft is imitated so much. Um, I mean, the guy was writing 100 years ago, so it's not that surprising that I mean he was super popular, and so people still read a lot of Lovecraft. He's actually of the big three Weird Tales authors. He's the one I read the least until this class. So, and I will probably stick with that though after this class. I so far now I'm sure there are some tales I've enjoyed by Lovecraft, um, pretty well actually, and I'm sure there will be more. You know, like Color Out of Space is pretty awesome. The Temple is pretty awesome, and a lot of them are most of them are not bad. But when you have someone like Clark Ashton Smith, that man is just mind-blowingly amazing of a writer, and their contemporaries, you know, Lovecraft and him. And then Robert E. Howard is just so energetic. His stuff reads more like it's modern fantasy rather than Lovecraft, who definitely has that lack of focus on character. I wouldn't say he doesn't do character, but definitely that's not the focus, I would say. So, anyways, Case of Charles Dexter Ward. You can listen to this one on YouTube. Like you can listen to every Lovecraft story essentially on YouTube. There's probably several versions of it that you could listen to for free, and you could just read it for free as well online. So, and then I've started a bunch of other stuff. So I'm doing the one a day thing for A Night in Lonesome October, which is by Roger Zelazny. It has 31 chapters. You read one a day. So as of today, I read chapter 6. I'll read chapter 7 when this comes out. And I'm enjoying it. It's really interesting. It's not how I imagined it would be, but it makes allusions to a bunch of Gothic literature essentially, but it's basically through the point of view of a dog, which is weird, which is cool. I like Zelazny. This is my 7th Zelazny novel that I'll finish. I should say I started one, but like I was kind of taking that one slow. So, anyways. And then I have started The Last Light of the Sun by Guy Gabriel Kay. I'm more than halfway through, I think, now. Yeah. Oh, I have another book over here. Okay. So The Last Light of the Sun is essentially, it takes place in the same world as The Lions of Arsan and Sailing to Savantium. Is that what it's called? Which essentially is Europe. It's medieval Europe. And that's like, take it as you will. He changes it where it's not technically Europe, you know what I mean? So like this is about Vikings and like King Alfred, but it's not King Alfred, it's King Aldred, right? So he does interesting stuff like that, but it is very good so far. This is my first K novel. I've never heard anyone say should start with this one, but I like King Alfred a lot, so that seemed like the obvious place to start. So it's very good. The next one I'll probably read is probably The Song of Arbonne, because the Albigensian Crusade is just cool, and that sounds cool to read about it again in a fictionalized sense. So, yeah. Anyways, Last Light of the Sun. I'll probably finish this one this week, and again, I'm enjoying it. So, it's very interesting. I'll have words for that one. It's not blowing me away so far, but I am enjoying it. Another novel I am reading, and this is one I started back in like April or March, maybe, is Kill Switch by Joel Shepard. I finally picked this back up since I've been reading a lot more cyberpunk. In fact, I may come out with a what is cyberpunk genre overview on Wednesday. I've done these before. I've done my what is the Dying Earth, or what is Dying Earth, and what is Sword and Sorcery, and those are actually two of my most popular videos. I outlined a cyberpunk one a while ago, but in reality, I hadn't read much cyberpunk. I feel like I've read more now, and so maybe I'd be better at making a video like this. So, but Kill Switch is post cyberpunk, which it takes, you know, in sci-fi, a lot of sci-fi started getting dystopian. You could say the majority of sci-fi got dystopian, essentially starting somewhere in the early 80s, probably, or late 70s. There's still the occasional utopian sci-fi, and it's not like, you know, heaven, like maybe you're thinking of when you think utopia. But like The Culture, for example, is very much utopian sci-fi. That's Ian and Banks. This is utopian cyberpunk, essentially, is what post cyberpunk is. You have these like integration with computers kind of in your head. Um, and there's, in this case, robots. It's very much Ghost in the Shell type of cyberpunk, right? So the main character is Cassandra Kreznova, who's essentially Kusanagi. I've done reviews for the first two books on this channel, Crossover and Breakaway. While they're not as engaging because I don't think they're as well written as Joel Shepard's Spiral Wars series, which starts with Renegade, but that's more space opera. Um, it's still, you have all these ideas, and Joel Shepard is a very interesting um, writer of, he gets human emotions down really well, and he also does politics exceptionally well, which is kind of what he studied, I believe, in school or something like that. I actually tried to get him on the channel over a year ago, I believe now. So maybe I'll try again some point. But um, Joel Shepard, he's one of my favorite authors, actually. So Kill Switch, and then the next book. These are kind of like soft trilogies. The first three were written in the early aughts, and then the next three were written in their early teens. And the next one, the fourth one's called 23 Years on Fire, which I think is just like one of the coolest titles for a book I've ever heard. But I haven't read the book yet, so I'm a little over halfway with reading Kill Switch now. I was about like a fourth of the way, so I haven't read too much. I only picked it up like yesterday, essentially. So um, let's see. I also am reading The City of Marble and Blood, which came out on Tuesday. It is the follow up to Lord of Shattered Land, which is one of my favorite books this year, that I've read this year, is Howard Andrew Jones. I made a review for it back in August. I was on Nico's book reviews channel talking with Howard Andrew Jones. And this one doesn't come out physically, I believe, for another couple weeks. But it started off with a bang. I've read the first two chapters, which is kind of an episodic. You could call it fix up, but it's not really fix up because it's nothing fixed up. If that makes sense. If you know what a fix up novel, I'm not going to explain this to you if you don't, though. It's more episodic because this stuff hasn't really been published before. It's kind of like a season of television, how he describes it. And the first two episodes, first two chapters, were really good, and I'm looking forward to the next 13. I read one today, I read one yesterday, so I haven't like been getting super quickly through it or anything. We'll see if that picks up when maybe I can finish some of these other books as well. I have essentially finished New Edge, Sword and Sorcery issue 1. I've not read the final review. Okay, there's a review at the end of it for another book, and I haven't read it just so I could put it up as finished next week. I'm not allowed to reveal the cover. The cover is going to be revealed, I believe, Friday, so a week from when I'm recording this. So then I can put it up on the thumbnail for Saturday next week, and then probably following that on Tuesday, I'll have a review up for New Edge Sword and Sorcery issue 1. I reviewed issue 0 last year, I believe, or maybe it was early this year. But overall, though, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So, and then I think those are all like the big things. I am reading more through the big book of cyberpunk. I still have like a week until I'm doing my first video with Tim, and you're gonna get introduced to Tim's totality. And yeah, so that should be fun. I have like 8 or 9 more stories left for part 1. We're doing a video on part 1 because this is a hefty book, and I'm that far in. Been reading about 2 of these stories a day. Really enjoying it. It's interesting because like none of them have been like super stand out to me. Like I haven't really fallen in love with any of these. My favorite's probably Lavi Tidar's, which isn't surprising to me because I just enjoyed Lavi Tidar, and it's just wild. But a lot of them are wild, and but a lot of them are also like very, you could call it progressive. They were exploring ideas, exploring things. Yeah, it's interesting. There are a lot of good ones in here though. So, I in some ways I've kind of leaned more towards the older ones though. Like Gurn's Back Continuum is what it starts with, and then The Girl Who's Plugged In. Those kind of stand out more than really any that follow. Besides, again, Choosing Faces by Tidar. Yeah, so I'll talk about that though. That video should be coming out on like the 18th, I believe. So, and then the Day of Might is coming up, October the 23rd. I've been doing videos for it the past 2 years. This 2 years ago was the first Day of Might, and I did a video on it. And then last year I did a video on it, and I did a live stream with Raph and Oliver Brackenberry and Nat Webb. And I don't know what I'm doing this year. This will be on a Monday. Do you have any suggestions on what I should do for the day? I might just make another video. I just put a little extra video up for Monday rather than like a review, or maybe with the review. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions? I feel like maybe I should talk to someone, maybe do another live stream, because I think it was a live stream technically. But I haven't invited anyone. I don't know who to invite. I could invite Raph again. He'd probably want to. He probably would. I just haven't. That's not been my focus. I don't have a job right now, so I'm like trying to get money because essentially I have none left at this point. So, anyways, day of might though. It's October 23rd. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can celebrate. And then also, it's interesting. I was looking this up when I was looking up cyberpunk stuff. Is that there is a cyberpunk day in 2022. It was like November 12th, but there's also one in 2021, which was like October 10th or something like that. And so it's more like a convention, I think, is what the Cyberpunk Day thing is. I might make up my own though, because I haven't seen anything for a Cyberpunk Day in 2023. So sometime in November, likely, I might make like a little Cyberpunk Day thing. Speaking of which, I'm not really sure. Did I say this? Yeah, no, I did. Okay. Sorry. I've been also playing some Cyberpunk 2077. The big update came out. I have never played it, so I decided to play it. I'm enjoying it. I've only played like 5 hours. I don't spend that much time on video games, but it has been very enjoyable actually so far. Very much hits the aesthetic I was looking for. Playing a Street Kid because that just seems the most cyberpunky to me. The rest don't really. To be honest, like Corpo, that's the man. You know what I mean? Obviously, it probably goes different. Nomad doesn't seem very cyberpunky to me because I think cities in cyberpunk. Anyways, I'll play all of them eventually though. And then as far as the short stories, these are the other stories from The Dragon's Vampire by Christopher Rocchio. I just want to mention them real quick though. After the Feast, which I have read before. I actually did the original copy editing on it. Again, it's long, but I really enjoyed it. I think it could go more into the sword and sorcery vein if it was just half the size. But Christopher does this philosophical and like thoughtful stuff. So, but it's a good story. I don't mean to bag on Christopher. Reincarnation, which is my first time reading this one. This is interesting, kind of like artificial intelligence type of thing going on. You can, if you pay attention, you can tell what Christopher's opinions are, and not just what he writes in this world, essentially. Anyways, in The Parable in Iron, which was a parable from his Sun Eater world, I've not read this one either. But the other ones I have. Some others monsters I read in the anthology it came out in. Enjoyed it the second time around. The Archanaut, which might be my favorite, because again, I enjoyed this one a lot the second time around. The other one that's probably up there with the Archanaut, Mother of Monsters is pretty good too. It's Gutter Ballet, and it's just because of the mood he evokes with it. It's very much cyberpunk. And then Daughter of Swords, which I also did the copy editing on this, so I enjoyed it again. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what video I should do on Wednesday. I might just do the What is Cyberpunk thing, but I'm very proud of my 2 philology videos. I kind of have more with like some poems I've read, and I want more of those. I don't want to be so academic. I find learning fun. I just like learning stuff. I like knowing things, and part of me is just like, I'm sure I have knowledge or information I could share, and it's just not coming to mind. That like, oh, I can make a video on that. Like I want to make a video with my brother again on like Hastur as he appears in Ambrose Bierce and Robert W. Chambers and Lovecraft, or like maybe a video on like what a good version of Beowulf is to read. But then when I do that, I feel like I need to read more versions of Beowulf than I've already read, which I probably don't. I can tell you right now, you should just go read Tom Shippey's version. To be bluntly honest, you should. That's the one. So, anyways, don't need to make the video anymore, or that I want to do like Sir Gawain stuff. I've been trying to read most of Sir Gawain, like stuff in Middle English, essentially. The last one I read, which was a couple months ago now, was the Grüne Knecht, I think, which is not the same thing as Sir Gawain and the Grüne Knecht. Different dialects. One's the Green Knight rather than Sir Gawain the Green Knight, just to use modern English for your sake. is probably later. Definitely different in some ways. I enjoyed it. I find reading in Middle English is very rather easy, actually, in a lot of ways, assuming it's a close enough dialect to the one I speak of modern English. Sir Gawain the Grey Knight's harder, for example, and the one I really want to read, and I've only like glanced at different passages of it rather, is Brute by Lachaman, the Brute, which is about it's named after Brutus of Troy or of London, and if you know your medieval stuff, you know who that is. Not Caesar's Brutus. I really want to read that, but that's in a very conservative early Middle English. My Old English is not that good yet. But that being said, I kind of want to make a video also on like translating. When you're translating something and like, like someone who isn't. I'm not fluent in Old English. I'm not Tom Shippey. I can't sit here and translate the Battle of Brunanburg and just do it flawlessly. Essentially, just like read it and be like, yeah, that's what that's saying. I have a tendency to go towards archaisms. I love archaisms. That's what made me interested in Old English and Middle English in the first place, is archaisms. I love taking a word that no one's seen for a long time and shoving it in like a story or a poem, and no, and there's probably a reason why they don't ever get published, but or that's probably one of the reasons. Other ones probably just not very good, but so I mean, like, that's why I like it, and so I've been doing the Battle of Brunanburg really slowly the past couple months. Like I did like 4 lines this week or something, and it's just interesting looking at like the choice, because in my mind I'm just like, I'm gonna go with the most obvious choice. Okay, like it says ground. Well, I'm gonna say ground. I'm not gonna say earth. You know what I mean? Like, because the word is ground. That's what it says, like in Old English. I'm just the Old English version of it. Or like a lot of those words, they'll have like close enough, like you use the word Mara, I think, which you could say means famous in this line or whatever, and that's where the word mirror, like, oh, he's a mere Italian, or something, and not like that's just what he is, like that's exactly what he is, or like he's famous, he's a pure Italian. That's kind of what mirror could mean. It's funny, it kind of got switched around with its meaning a little bit, but so I mean, like, stuff like that. Like I'll lean towards the archaism, but in my mind, some people like Shippey doesn't, though. For example, Shippey very much goes for make this easily read, accurate. You know what I mean, but easily read, and still retains a lot of the stuff, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, but I look at it, I'm like, but the archaism is cool because the archaism is technically English. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to say some weird archaic word in my life, like occasionally I'll say, can you grab the whittle for me to my daughter, which is just blanket, but I just like saying, I just think it's fun. I just love archaisms. And this is a video I've also been wanting to make for a while, or even a series of like shorts. I keep a list of archaisms. Okay. And I have for 7 years, I believe. But it's just being changed all the time. It's being modified and added to. So if I were to be like, I'm going to go from the first word in my archaic dictionary, so to speak, to the last one, well, there'd be problems, somewhere in there, because I would add another word. And right now I have, let's see, 1,280 words in my archaic dictionary, ending with zounds, and starting with what's it again? Let's see. Starting with I have so many notes in this. Aback, and abed, abode, abroad, abysm, acate, accatur, accoutrements, adventure, adventurer, admonish, again wind, a nighter time, enigma, afflictive, affile, affluent, affray, afore, after bosomed, agu, ert, ajar, alack, alas, aldereld, almain, allow, away, amain, ambuscade, amen, amaretto, an, anchorite, ancient, uncle, anent, inimical, anon, or anon, sorry, apothecary, apparel, appetency, appledore, prize, apricity, arbor, ardor, argens, arms, a reed, or reed, Art, assail, assuage, a stone, asunder, athel, atheling, athirst, athwart, atonement, after, copper, torn, otter. Anyways, there's way more than that. And didn't get an A. Like that, I just find these words when I'm reading like in Middle English and like Old English. I'm like, you know what? There might be like a modern English version of that, or like I try to find one. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you'll probably ever hear anyone say bead as like the word prayer. You'll just use it for the beta, of Wearmouth Jarrow, who wrote the ecclesiastical history of the English people, right? And right, like that's who you'll hear bead as. But bead also means prayer, and that's decent way. That's probably how it'd be said in modern English, is bead. So yeah, anyways, like that. This is way too long. Join me for the live stream if you want. If you have any questions you want me to answer in that live stream, you can just come, of course, or you could comment them down below, I guess, if you really want, if you didn't comment them elsewhere. So I'm keeping notes, keeping track of those, of my questions I already have. So anyways, this is way too long. I apologize. I just pretty much rambled on this one. I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Wish I had a job. Wish I could use the stuff I like and I know. All right. So far I can't. Anyways, Liam from Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. What have you been up to this week? I appreciate you. Appreciate you.